evening. Call the meeting to order, maybe 7:03. And we'll call the public hearing, open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to read the public hearing notice.
Okay.
The Grafton Community Preservation Committee, CPC, will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, beginning at 7 in Conference Room A of the Grafton Memorial Municipal Center located at 30 Providence Road, Grafton. This hearing is being held in accordance with the Community Preservation Act CPA requirements and is intended to assist the CPC by collecting input from the public on the needs of the town in the CPA subject areas of open space and recreation, community housing, and historic preservation. Additional information about the Community Preservation Committee is available at www.grafton/ma.gov on the CPC website.
Thank you.
Second.
There you go.
So you have opened the public hearing. I see no members present. Are there some online?
There's 8 attendees.
Yeah,
but
So you
looking-
move to open the public hearing?
Do we need to vote?
I think you
Oh,
do.
yeah,
We
sorry,
got a second
yeah.
and a first and a second.
So I had a motion, sorry.
It's okay.
I said thank you.
Fine.
Just
Who
roll
moved?
ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sitting by Mr. Speed Demon here. I'm trying to go.
I didn't catch. Motion made and seconded.
All
All
those
in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Now the public hearing is open. And seeing that can't see unless they pop up their faces or names on that
So
screen. in front of
I
me.
have them here. There's 8 people on. Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay, so to the audience, does anyone have a question, a suggestion, any input for Grafton's Community Preservation Plan for this public hearing? And seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I declared at 7:05.
Thank God that's
Public hearing
over.
is closed. So start over. 7:05, call the regular meeting to order. And let me first of all say thank you for everybody attending. We have a full house, which is probably a first in person for a long time. So
Very
it's
long
nice to
time.
see everybody.
Before you go to the financial, the treasurer's report, just so we have something in the public record, I think we would be remiss if we didn't thank Ken for the years and years of work he did to get us where we are now, to help not only this CPC, but so many of the other ones throughout the Commonwealth, and the help that he gave to the CPA folks, who didn't even know what they were doing sometimes. But your work on keeping us on budget is exemplary. I don't know that anyone could have brought us to where you brought us to right now, and you need to be thanked. I wish we could give you money. Maybe you could, before you leave, you could take some, but then we'll see you in jail. But I think we're remiss if we don't point out exactly how far you brought us, so that we can do and understand what we have in front of us right now. Thank you.
Here, here. Thank you.
I agree.
And also how, I got nothing against Mr. Swenson. I'm sure he'll be a fine person, but it's a travesty that they would take you off this committee for no reason. When you have the historical knowledge, and to echo what Jim's saying, to me, it just shows how if you want to get participation in a community,
Just mute it and turn the camera off.
You're saying these wonderful things.
I was just saying, if you want participation in a community, you hold you up as somebody who, comes, volunteers their time, does a good job, and instead, what we've done is, for no particular reason, they've taken you off. And I think it's a bad signal for everyone else in this town who volunteers, or who thinks about volunteers, or who wishes to volunteer. I mean, part of leadership in local government is to get participation, not to squelch it, not to get rid of it, and to take someone who's done an exemplary job and is recognized by the state as being one of the best treasurers for CPC, to take him out for what reason? I don't understand the reason. If there was a reason, okay, but there's no articulated reason. I mean, I just think it's a shame, and I don't like the way the board did it. I don't like the way the board is going about, particularly in this committee, taking people out at will for no particular reason. And I'm sorry for you, Ken, because you've done a good job, and you should be recognized and held up rather than, booted to the curb. And I know you don't care. I mean, you care, but you don't care. But I get it. But at the same time, it affects the whole town, right? Because you've done a great job, and yet, you know what you got for it?
Shafted.
So,
I wish that you would reapply next year if there's something open, if one of us goes down or whatever.
you can take my spot.
You never know.
You can gladly take my spot.
You know what I'm saying? I wish, if,
Someone wins the
You're
lottery,
next,
moves.
Yeah,
right,
well,
it moves away.
I'd be happy if you took my spot.
I would too. I would be proud.
Well, I didn't want that, Richard. You say you would be too. But anyway, I get it.
Everybody quit. Don't need that.
Well,
Well, thanks for your.
no, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from you and everybody else on the board. And if something opened up, I would hope that the select board would put you back on.
Maybe,
Maybe.
I appreciate, especially because I know and I've watched you work, and I know, starting with Tricia, this has not been an easy thing to create, because this was created from whole cloth, this whole system, because the state does not give us, this is how you do your books, this is how you make sure everything's done, this is how you check the accounting, because we don't control what's put in the
Yeah, well,
ledger.
it was Tricia that really figured it out, and I learned it from her. And then I tried to teach the other accountants, not so well sometimes, but I tried.
Because this is
No,
not
you
the
did
normal
well.
accounting.
You did quite
that
well.
They do for municipal accounting. It's a very different animal.
That's right.
And,
Well, apparently the accountant knows everything, so we're gonna find out.
but we do, and I certainly.
Took her 3 tries to
appreciate-
get the
Yeah,
reserves
well-
right this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll find out. It's easy. It's easy, Ken.
Okay,
Okay, all right, thank you.
all right. Well, the treasurer's report, I keep telling you, it looks better in color.
Yeah.
Definitely does.
I did that for you. Cindy Ide will be very angry with me because we're not supposed to print in color, but
Oh, that's in color, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you printed 1 in color.
no, I printed all of them.
No, mine's in black
Oh.
and white.
Oh, black and,
I wonder why that happened.
Maybe
I
it's
hit
got
color.
a thing on
I'm
it, only
sorry.
one.
Maybe it knew what you were doing and only
Cindy
taking
probably
one.
has my computer jinxed or something.
Well, this is only slightly different than last month. The difference being under the carried over funds, the fund, the undesignated fund. I opened up the rows for the special town meeting that were previously hidden and labeled them July in anticipation that the select board will approve the right of first refusal purchase of the first half of the Robinson lots. And so
That's
that's
July
$300,000 for the July special town meeting, which is
Robinson
projected.
property.
anticipated, may happen. And along with that is an additional grant of $2,000 that would go towards the holder of the conservation restriction that would go along with it, whoever that might be.
And that's to do the baseline report.
Based on the experience of having
last
made those grants in the past.
Yep.
They're about $2,000 apiece.
Well, maybe we should bump it up. Like $500. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that actually the last ones were slightly less than
Less.
200,000, and a few bucks were returned.
Okay.
So it's probably a good number, but you can test that when the time comes. You can.
But at least we have the placeholder for it, because before we didn't.
Yeah,
And I
and we
think we
forget.
just did it administratively.
Right. So that's it, and so that just reduced our 1.2 million down to 90 plus to $983,000 of funds available to grant.
Okay, great. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Whoever becomes, and now I'm just saying this, whoever becomes the treasurer, when we reorganize, or if we do reorganize, are you willing to help out,
Yeah, I will.
please?
Yeah.
I'm saying please.
Did I say you pull out your checkbook?
I got my credit cards and I got cash in my pocket.
Remember, that's go under the table.
Yeah.
Rich.
Oh, no, we have an administration fund.
Right.
Oh, that's right. We have consultant fees.
Yeah, that's right. You can be a consultant.
No, not for a year.
Not for a year.
That's right. You did.
That's
your-
right.
You did.
I
your,
did my homework.
You took your,
Your
test.
conflict
I
of
took my
interest.
equity test.
I just saw my little certificate. Boy, that.
Okay, so that's the report.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Clear the motion carried. Thank you, Ken. The next item on the agenda is for our clerk's report. Everybody should have a copy of the minutes that Joanne did.
I move that we approve the minutes as drafted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, which I don't have in front of me. May. Trying to get that.
I didn't print.
She didn't print them.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, it's okay. But I
She
printed.
emailed them though.
No,
Yeah.
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 Chance to
Yeah.
look at
Do you want to look at them?
No, I printed mine out. I'm just trying to speak intelligently and just look pretty much like a fool. Oh, here we are. May 26th.
Yep. My birthday that everybody forgot
Oh, I'm just gonna write.
Happy
was they
belated
weren't
birthday.
even in the minutes.
I think we all went out. We just didn't invite you.
I think I did wish you a happy birthday.
I did. I sent you a little thing.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Well, I won't forget next year. Okay. All those in
You have a motion.
Motion and a second.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried for the minutes for May 26th. Okay, the next item on the agenda
The informational
is the
handout.
handout, and I believe there is a copy of that
Yes.
at everybody's seat. This is something that we've had in the past. We discussed handing it out at the most recent town meeting and decided against it due to just a lack of time and just, there was just too much else going on and we didn't want to get too much out there that would be confusing.
Was it taken from a prior version or was that?
No, I took it from, it's actually, the prior version's on the website. It's on the CPC page. So I just kind of started, I don't know, moving. I was thinking QR codes that would take people to the town website, to our page. Maybe a QR code that takes them directly to the plan, because you're thinking about giving this out at town meeting. So part of me was maybe less words, even though I know there's a lot of words on there. So cut that down, get rid of the words, and focus more on these QR codes, because folks will be there with their phones. Then they can go right to what they need to look at.
The only
If they know how to do it.
yeah, the only concern with just a QR code is in the high school's auditorium, especially, cell service is really poor.
Okay.
So, scanning it and trying to load a site probably won't work.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt to have that as an extra for people that do take it home with them or leave
They can get it.
they can still use it. But
Better to have
I
a
would
document.
I would lean toward having a little bit more words than not, just because of you're not going to be able to get it in that moment.
Right. Okay. All
I
right.
would say bullets,
Bullets.
personally, because I'm not gonna, I mean, I will sometimes, but if it's bullets that you can see, and a lot of this could be bulleted,
Yep. Okay.
And
At town meeting, they're more apt to scan.
and so it
that's
gives you
exactly,
quick-
I was going to say that.
Okay. All right. I'll
Paul,
do
so
something with more
smart.
bullets. Okay.
You know what else?
And I'll work with you.
If we could make a 2-page document, I'd love to see the thing that Dave Robbins did for us that I'm balancing right now.
We have to.
See?
We're gonna have to
Landed right side up.
Now I'm going to make it miraculously reappear.
You just have to proof it.
There it is. But until I see this in front of me, the people say easily, oh, all they do is spend money on the Common, all they do is spend money in North Grafton and everything. But this is an excellent example of how we, over the years, it's really been spread out throughout the entire town. And I think that'd be really good, interesting for someone to look at. And thank Dave Robbins for that. Actually, we should probably, if we use this, we got to give him some credit here. Yeah.
What's the source?
It used the GIS map, the state GIS graph,
GIS map and the DOR records.
Okay.
because all
But the
the,
DOR records aren't, the problem is there aren't addresses for every project in
So-
the DOR database,
yeah.
so.
So it was a combination of that plus Dave Robinson's own, finagling, so to speak.
He's
Could
just
use
one of the
your,
smartest
your
people in the
spreadsheet of
world.
projects.
and this was an initial attempt at
Yeah.
getting it on a map so that we can tweak it. He gave it to us to tweak,
Okay.
To do it as we
To,
please.
to,
so to speak.
to what
And,
again?
and if you want
to
to do
tweet?
mapping
not to
stuff,
work.
I can
Tilly,
whatever it's called.
Tilly Wabbit.
Could you guys, I'm sorry, Sandy?
The Wabbit kicked
But
the
with this-
bucket.
I can help with any kind of mapping.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
But
I'll write that down.
also,
I'm not, but I have.
if we're gonna do like a 2-page thing, would it be nice to put like a couple of pictures of projects that's been done, that people realize that this is where the money went? You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Yeah,
And
speaking,
that way they can say, wow, they did that there, maybe we can have that done at our place, we can apply.
yeah, speaking to what Rich was just saying, having, perhaps not for this meeting, but for the future, is having sort of a highlights brochure.
Right.
You know, maybe 2 pages of,
Yeah.
and just the,
Or you
just
can
the
take it-
highlights. Just saying, some of the,
Fold it in like this,
the
fold it in
the
and it
most
opens
significant
up,
projects that we
tells you
did
everything about it.
that were done in different parts of the town.
Yeah.
And maybe just to kind of key off what Ken just said, maybe our brochure, so to speak, has what's transpired for CPA projects in the last year for every town meeting, in the brochure. Just a very quick little thing, maybe a few pictures, whatever.
What was that? You do what for the last year?
Like in every spring meeting, we
Yeah.
have our brochure, where we have a section that we
Oh, to
use,
add from what
to
the
add,
last year.
to
Yeah.
the last year, like maybe pictures of something that's completed,
Yeah.
Highlights
stuff that's in,
from
stuff that's
2020.
in progress, whatever.
So it's a living document.
That's roughly in my head right now. I don't.
So historic projects, and then highlights of recent projects. So you're getting, what have we done in the last 20 years? What have we done in the last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might
And
be.
and if you refer to it as a living document, it's GALLAGHER. Sorry.
I was trying to get something else out there other than calendar.
That's
And
it.
I will
thing
just
is
call
that-
out, Joanne, there is a year typo on the very first line of this
Okay.
document.
Doesn't surprise me.
Passed into law in 2020.
So,
Oh, sorry.
may I ask, when do we want to have this for October's?
Oh, to do it for October meeting. I think, isn't that
That was the idea.
what we thought?
Okay,
Because we
so-
talked about this a couple of months ago.
So by the end of August, have like a draft, so we can say, yeah, and then if we print it out, who can we print it with cheaply?
Oh, we'll do it here.
Well, depending on, what
Yeah.
it is, we can just print it.
Well, I have something brewing in my mind right now, because I used to work in a print shop a long time ago, and I was thinking of taking 8.5 by 11 and folding it and having it on the front CPC, right, and the logo of the town and everything. As you open it up, there'll be a picture and what we, like John said, bullet
Right.
points.
Yep.
Then you open it up, full page, you have 3 sections that you can read about what we do and everything else. And then if you fold it back like here, it's projects that have been done,
Right.
what we've put money towards, and then on the back page, the final back can be like, this is how you apply.
If we're doing this ourselves, though, that's a lot of work.
No, it's not.
It's not,
it's a
it's
lot
not
to
that,
get-
it's not
it's
that
a lot to get
capable.
on.
I mean,
A limited amount of paper.
It is deciding and prioritizing what's on it,
We're gonna-
what's
Right.
not on it.
A
That's-
lot of this won't fit.
that's what I'm saying, but I think that would be like handing this like this to somebody, as we walk in, we have it like this, and they see it nice, something nice on the front, and they open it up, and it tells you all about us, and, how, these are the jobs we've done, these are the jobs that are working on, and then it's, how to proceed on getting an application of doing this, and
Yeah,
What-
a lot of graphics programs will have it up so you can do these. They're pre-done. It's not.
Right, I think my,
But I mean, the folding,
my new computer
That is probably.
at home,
that's what, well, that's
Just
what I'm
sit
talking
down
about
at
though.
a table and do
yeah.
No, you bring.
Yeah, but then we
somebody's
had-
got a
No,
folding
no, no,
machine.
get a folding machine.
Yeah.
That's high tech. We're not.
I'm not worried about folding it,
But I'm just saying, so it's gotta be done if you wanna do it that way.
but I think my
I
new,
just say clean and dirty.
my new, brand new computer I got at home, that I bought, that I got, it's got Windows 11 and it has that in it.
Yeah.
And it's just
a
putting
template.
everything together.
Maybe you could mock one up.
Yeah,
It's just a template.
all right.
let me try with my grandson, because my
great.
grandson's beautiful with it.
Yeah.
And if you need some,
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
look at it.
pizzazz, something that's gonna
I
pop
can
out.
show it to our. graphics
waste of
people
paper.
and
Yeah.
Our marketing.
Oh, all right,
Do
Yeah.
that stuff.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll supply their ready.
Smart font.
All right.
The case that we're ready.
So can we, on the, moving to the Robinson property, can we actually, without, the town actually, using their, right for first refusal, can we actually have a vote now? To set aside the money that's already been set aside on the, spending report?
Well,
We don't have an application,
Yeah, we need an application first, I would think.
Yeah,
And
so that
if,
means
if
special.
timeline doesn't align for us our next meeting, we can always, through the chair, try to arrange something off schedule, but I don't imagine that the select board would be able to schedule a town meeting to do that where we can't meet before the town meeting.
Okay, but my point is, yeah, I mean, there's, everything here is a known except for the effective date. So why can't we set the money aside so it's already there? We've already voted on, our feeling that it should be used for that. And then when, everybody makes the legal moves, then we've already got it there and we don't have to have any special meetings because I don't think anyone's not in favor of this and we know what the money's gonna be, so.
didn't,
I could be wrong. Joanne may know answer to affirm or correct me, but I believe we can't approve a warrant article on our behalf without a time and date certain for the warrant to be in place.
Well, I'm not saying a warrant article. What I'm talking about is setting aside money.
and
No, just don't
I
spend it.
believe Ken did that.
But we have money.
you just
I mean,
don't
that-
spend it,
the
it's set
money is
aside.
not the
He,
issue.
he already did that, he put the money
Yeah, I saw that,
aside.
but what I'm saying is that he put it in the report, but let's
projection.
make the report come
Just a
true.
projection.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's not there.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Just a projection to show what it would look like.
But I think that would be precedent setting to not have an application, to not have an actual dollar amount, to not have details.
Yep.
To approve
let's just
something.
do
all right, it was just a thought, no big deal.
I understand what
Yep.
you're trying to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
we need an application.
We
All right.
really need
Okay.
something to respond.
I know you don't wanna miss the property and neither do I.
Well, we won't.
No,
We
it's
won't.
not, I don't think we're gonna miss the property, all I'm saying is that it's a rare, occasion when we know that everybody's in favor of it and we know what the amount is, so, is there anything else we can do to get a head start? But it's no big deal,
Yeah, just procedures.
no worries. See that? Now you can check that one off too.
Okay, and
Can we?
have the selectmen talked about a date for this yet in terms of a special town meeting?
This past Tuesday, they did briefly talk about that the select board did not have all of their letters of endorsement, so to speak. They also did ask the town, Evan, to send an email to the Affordable Housing Trust to get an input from them, even though that's not typical, that's not a requirement, but they did ask for it. I'm assuming they're gonna
To
be
ask them for what?
an opinion on what they believe the town should do with that property. Like kind of like basically like we did anyway. We're not required
I
to
thought
give them.
it was-
I can't, yeah.
I'll respond to Paul, but to respond to you first, I thought we are acquiring this land because this land is in the ACEC, it's in this watershed, and so we want to protect it. We're trying to prevent people from building on it.
Well, I think
Exactly.
Well,
Paul,
Evan intimated during the meeting that Affordable Housing Trust had an idea about having some property used for affordable housing on the front of,
the corner, I think it was, of Stowe Road.
no details, he had forgotten to include it in their packet so they could discuss it.
Well, do they have
That
sewerage?
property doesn't have a corner.
No.
it's
There were no
just a little
details
further.
given.
Yeah.
It's a Tough
I
site.
think one of the things too, the letter that you sent, that CPC sent, remember the wording said maintained for passive recreation, I believe.
And that's what I think we want it to be.
And I will say as well that in the planning board's letter, I forget who on the board, it wasn't me that suggested it, but someone on the planning board did suggest that some of it could be used for some affordable housing, and keeping the important part, off to the side.
The piece is only this big.
It's not that that
Yeah.
big of a property.
It's also
It's
a very
really-
tough,
Say-
it's a tough site to
Yeah.
develop for
Yeah.
multifamily.
But it was
It's
just
really not. It's
an
really not.
option, but the overall intent of the planning board was that yes, we should acquire it as a town.
But it is a critical thing to follow because how it gets approved is critical.
I would,
The conservation, have they met,
Yep.
discussed, and
Yep.
made a recommendation?
Yep.
And I'm sure, so their recommendation is,
To have
Passive.
it as passive open space and have
Absolutely.
it as conservation restriction and everything.
okay. And
That's
that,
the
because,
only way it
am
can
am
go.
I right, that's in ACEC, it's in its watershed, and the goal all along of buying all this land
Is to
has been
protect the lake.
to not have
Right.
the homes built.
And currently, every of the perimeter of that lake is entirely protected, mostly by the town, somewhat by the land trust, except for these two little pieces.
This is the
And
last.
the town pieces are all in what's collectively known as the Silver Lake Conservation Area. And so this would be just
final pieces.
another piece of the Silver Lake Conservation
Just
Area.
to close it
with
up.
one more to go.
Yeah, there's still one more on that side of the
Correct.
land because they split the parcel up.
Yep.
There you go.
Subdivided it. to
passive, it should be passive.
It would be fortuitous if they could get an offer on the other two pieces before the town meeting deadline showed up, so they could be done at the same time.
But
Anybody want to make an offer on those properties?
Yeah,
theoretically, though, even if there is, we would catch it at the next town meeting, given the time factor it
Yeah.
takes for all that to happen. Then we would still be within our time to be right of our first refusal, because it's the third Monday in October, which seems like it's a long way off, but not.
It's coming up fast.
The end result from what I was getting to with select board is that I believe they made the intention that that'll be on their next agenda for their first meeting in July. I believe that's what they said.
oh, that's going nowhere.
Okay. Any other discussion about Robinson property? Okay, we need to, reorganize the.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, let me
Mr.
let me
Chairman,
finish.
you already said reorganize.
We need, I didn't quite get it all out. We need to reorganize. We have chairman, vice chairman, clerk, and treasurer offices that need to be filled, that are filled annually. And so what we're gonna, I'm gonna take nominations for each office. We'll initially take chairman and then go down the list. So
Okay.
if you have
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate John Stevens for a return to his stellar work as chairman of the CPC.
Second.
So a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Other nominations?
Are you willing?
Certainly.
I would nominate Jim Gallagher if he would have it as well.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, not against thank you, though. But John is the man. Hearing none?
No further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Dun 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 dun
Motion.
dun 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 dun.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair,
I just,
I would like to nominate Jim Gallagher for vice chair.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have,
Discussion.
do I have any other nominations for vice chair? Do we have any discussion? Hearing none?
Do you want it?
Will you serve? If nominated, will you serve?
I will serve.
That's what I should have said first.
That's I will serve. Hopefully
those-
better than I did last year.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Are the, motion carried? Congratulations,
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chairman. Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Brooke Paget for clerk.
Awesome.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Mr. Paget, are you
Apparently, I was clerk last year too, and I did not know it, so I am gladly clerk this year.
That's
This is the best committee to be the clerk on because we have a
We
Joanne.
have
But
Joanne.
you know, if something happens to me, you know who writes
And I
the
quit.
minutes. That doesn't.
Where's Brooke? I don't know. Last time I saw him, he was bellying up.
So you had to read the
I did it.
notice for the public hearing. You did a great
Well, I
job
was
on
told
it.
that's how I learned I was clerk.
We want to ease you into the position.
Thank you.
So, hearing, are there any other nominations? You can nominate yourself. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried. Congratulations, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And our final position is treasurer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the clerk is asking to nominate Mr. Scarlett for treasurer.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to nominate Paul Scarlett to be treasurer. Are you willing to serve?
I'm a poor substitute for Ken, but yes, I am willing.
So you're,
I will
Learn.
agree with that.
Thank you.
You don't want to say that after you just nominated him, you know? Jeez, wait till the vote is.
do we have any other nominations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Justin Wood.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second to nominate Justin Wood for treasurer.
Treasurer.
So we have Paul, we have Justin.
Who
Are there-
seconded Richard's nomination?
Jim.
Jim.
Are there any other nominations for treasurer?
I would nominate Ken, but I don't think it's going to make any difference.
So we have two individuals. So what we'll have to do is vote, just like you do in a regular election. So all those in favor?
Can we just take it one step back?
Yes.
Okay, I see these folks every single time I come
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
so I don't know a lot about
Oh,
their
sure.
background,
So
you know?
would you like to share
Just,
with the committee?
I don't, this stuff is all Greek to me, the accounting stuff, so, and I would never do it, but I'm just curious, you know,
So,
experience and stuff, so.
so the last few years that I was at Mozilla, I've been at my new job for about a year. I haven't done it in my new job, but for like 2-3 years at Mozilla, I was doing a lot of financial stuff about actually how much Mozilla is spending on their, servers and equipment, and actually, sharing that to the CFO, and actually working with, creating spreadsheets and creating, keeping track of how much, each area of that. And I have a lot of experience with actually, organizing, handling spreadsheets, being able to do with, millions of dollars in, numbers. It's, numbers on a sheet, but, I have confidence that I can, achieve at least somewhat of what Ken is doing, especially with if he's going to continue to, advise us. And I can, and I have a good understanding of the CPA at this point. I know that I can always get more information from the coalition itself or Ken or our town accountant if I need to as well. But I feel confident that I could do the job.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, would you?
So I have a lot of project management experience here in town on, the townhouse, certainly keeping within our budget, doing it right now on the common. I also do a lot of project management at work. I'm involved with budgeting for our department. So while I don't consider myself a numbers person, I certainly have exposure to them. I'm familiar with Excel. So I also have, I feel, a pretty in-depth knowledge of the CPA, and certainly know how to find more information if I need it. So that's about it, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
nothing against Paul, but I do know Justin of doing all this stuff. He's, for the years that I've known him before he married my daughter, he was working for Mozilla and doing the spreadsheets and everything else, and he'd be sitting at our dining room table and doing them. That's the reason why I nominated him. Nothing against Paul, because I don't know Paul's background, okay? If I knew Paul's background, I wouldn't know him. But Justin, I believe, would serve us, as I know of him, very well. And that's up to everybody else who wants to vote. I mean, he's done wonderful for my business and, you know, taking care of my books at home. So I know what he can do.
And then kind of the last question is I have for Ken is more just like, what do you think is kind of critical in doing this? Is it really knowing CPA and longer experience with CPA, or is it really more of a accounting process, or is it something unique to CPA?
It's really not accounting.
Okay.
I'm not an accountant either. It's really understanding the ways the CPA, and just understanding the accounts. And so it's not accounting. So you don't have to worry about that.
All right, I appreciate it. And thank you both. I mean, I
No,
actually,
I
first
do.
of all, thank you both for willing to do it because
I won't do it.
That's thing you have to worry about.
It used to be the clerk was the worst job.
It's
Yes,
also, it's
I
also
don't,
another,
no, I don't
another
want
key
that.
thing, another key part of it is getting along with the accountants.
Yeah.
And when they make all the mistakes, you can't make them feel like idiots. You got to be nice to them.
Why is he looking at me when he says that?
I'll say just to
Did
that
you make
point.
a few mistakes?
To that point, before I joined Mozilla, I had about 10 plus years of community service, not community service, customer service, job experience, both on telephone, taking customer calls. Many customers are angry when they call you, and actually working at front end of a pharmacy, Rite Aid for a while, and
GE.
and different things like that. So I'm used to dealing with people when it comes to having professional interactions.
I'll add to that. I work in an underwriting department, so I'm dealing with salespeople all day long, and we're the last step in them getting paid or not. So I have a lot of experience in that area, for sure.
Are there any other questions of either Justin or Paul from anyone here? Okay. So we'll go again to do our
Roll call?
No, well, I'll just say Justin, and you raise your hand. How's that? Is that
Well, you right now, I don't know, you put two motions.
Yeah, I think
got-
you did it wrong from the
I
start.
think they were nominations, not.
Two nominations.
It should have been
Nominations. They made
nominations,
a
not
motion to
motions, not
nominate.
motions.
Right.
They were
So you have
nominations.
two nominations.
no? Okay, sorry. So do I need to
You can
clean
just-
that up?
No, I
No.
think it's fine. I would say just, because you're gonna need it in your,
withdraw my
report, I would say let's go around the table.
Okay, so I withdraw my motion. We have my initial motion. We have
You didn't make a motion.
two candidates for treasurer, Justin and Paul. So
Do we not vote for ourselves?
Yeah.
you vote for
absolutely do.
yourself.
Oh my God, it's not high school.
Unless you don't want to.
I just don't know if we abstain from that, both of us.
No.
and
No,
then
no,
you
no, you get to vote, 'cause-
No.
yeah.
We're just gonna cancel each other
Well,
out.
Right,
You
so,
don't know.
Well,
know people
hopefully.
that don't vote for themselves.
You don't know that.
Yeah, you know that.
Oh, so-
We move the friggin' vote.
So we're just gonna go around. I'll just say go around the room and let me write my little paper. Okay,
Right.
Kristen,
I vote for Paul.
you don't get a vote.
Yes, he does.
She's not looking at me.
Oh, no, I don't get a vote.
Paul.
Myself, I guess.
Paul. Okay.
Paul.
Myself.
Justin. Do I get a vote?
Yes.
yeah.
You remember?
I'm gonna vote
Honest
for
to
Paul.
God, one's as bad as the other, Paul.
It's me, Justin.
Paul.
You're still a member.
Okay, so Paul,
Can-
7 votes to Justin 2.
7-2.
So can, this is just a suggestion, is it would be nice, I know why I voted for Paul, just because it's linked on here, but it'd be nice to have a backup. And if Justin's like willing to kind of, shadow us, I mean, I know you do a very good job of
Like
watching
Well, he
what's
was
going
gonna-
on.
I asked Ken 2
Yeah.
months ago to shadow him anyway to learn more
that.
about it. I wasn't thinking I'd have to I'd be in an opportunity that'd be appropriate to take over this quick, but I was looking to shadow anyway.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
All right.
All right. Congratulations, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, I think.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You
Congratulations
have
to
signed.
Yeah.
congratulations for the vice chair.
Okay, so we're gonna quickly.
Did I get a congratulations from you? Did you congratulate me?
Congratulations.
Oh, I did.
Oh, thank
Should
you.
we do a round of
Thank you.
applause for all of the new officers?
Yes,
Would that
yes.
make everybody
Well,
feel better? Yes, I think that's
I like
good.
that, yes, very good.
Thank you, everyone, for stepping up.
And do you get a new pin too, like they did at the select board meeting?
Pin? I want a pin.
They got pins?
I have
see a
this.
I was there.
How's that?
Are you saying pen or pin?
Keep going.
Can we
Pin.
keep going?
Can I change my
didn't see
vote
a
for the
pin.
chairman? Can you
They-
move, let's go.
I was trying to. and-
They have pins.
So we're
that
gonna
they
quickly
were
run
giving
through the
out.
project update, one
I don't
Grafton
know if they
Common,
gave them out yet.
Now,
Grafton Townhouse.
right, we put that on there.
But the-
Okay, we're
Oh.
moving along.
It's about time.
You wanted to put that on there.
There was a concern because at one of the more recent meetings of the Board of Select Board meetings, they had discussed the potential of selling the Grafton Common, one Grafton Common. And my concern is we have a bond on this project. And if that's if that's a real thing, or just they're kind of throwing stuff and seeing what sticks. It doesn't
Okay,
seem
we're
like.
gonna talk, I'm gonna recuse myself on this.
Okay, but it seems
But-
like, I don't think we're gonna discuss it, because I think
Okay.
from what I found out, I talked to Cindy, and she said, I don't think they were just discussing it, I don't think it's a real potential thing
So you don't feel there's need for us to do any
at
research on
this
what?
point.
Okay.
But
okay.
if this comes back, I think we do, and we need to check with the coalition and see, has this ever happened before?
I'd be interested to hear what Brooke said.
The seller would have.
Well,
to
I
pay up the
recuse
bond.
myself from this. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really go by this, but I've seen other people do it, that they recuse themselves, they go sit over there and then they talk back.
Oh,
Yeah.
but no, if I
That's
recuse
not my,
myself,
yeah,
go outside.
exactly. That's what I would do. I mean, I'd be glad to talk to anybody about it because I know a fair amount about it, but if we're gonna really talk about it, I do what Sandy does and I leave the room.
Right.
So,
Are we gonna talk about it? I mean,
If you're
I
gonna
think-
talk about it, I
unless
have
people-
to leave too,
Why do you own something?
because I might purchase the building.
You'd have to pay off the bond.
I know.
But see, that's my question, and I just
Okay, just stop talking until Brooke can get out of the room
Get
if
out.
you don't mind.
And I have to too.
get at.
I feel like I don't have to. Like
And it's
school mom.
And I I walk out of my room and I can see, and they wave at me, we're ready, get back.
Oh, we
all right,
didn't- we
I don't
didn't-
think there's anything else to be
we
said
didn't
about
do a
it.
signal. Let's just make them wait.
I just heard about them.
I don't know that it's really going to happen based on what Cindy said to me.
Okay.
They were just talking about it, just discussing it. But if it does come to pass, is it as simple as when they sell the building? If they sell the building, if we have $800,000 left in bond payments, that's just like a mortgage on a house. Does that get paid off?
It would have to be.
But is there a legal CPA rule or procedure that we have to follow? That's
That's the right. That's what.
because we have to do it right. Yes, Paul.
Two things to consider. The building's got a preservation restriction on it, so they would need to contact the Mass Historical Commission before they could ever sell that, and they would want to have stipulations in any sale that would cover, the protection of the building. It's not a pressing issue, so the main things that need to be done are the repointing of the brick and the restoration of the windows. And those things were identified 15 years ago when we were scoping out the whole project. The project was very expensive and the town couldn't afford to do everything. So we addressed accessibility and fire safety. That was necessary for us to be able to utilize the building. No one's ever taken off the radar screen, the additional work that needs to be done. Looking for a time that is right for doing it, for sure. I know that Apple Tree Arts has continued to fundraise for things that were associated with the building. One of the stipulations that the Architectural Access Board had to allowing the ongoing use of that building was a lift to be placed in the Great Hall so that there would be accessibility to the stage. And while you may say that, that's Apple Tree Arts space, the fact of the matter is without that, the Architectural Access Board could shut down the building again. So they did purchase at $50,000 a new lift and put it in there. And like I said, there are lots of avenues for raising funds for the work that needs to be done. That you have a private partner that has always expressed willingness to continue even beyond their obligation, which they already fulfilled, to continue to fundraise for that, whether that be through grants or whatever. So that's where they should start, with some conversations with them. I will say that you can't just jump into it, because Appletree did present a plan to Mass Historic for the final phase of the building, which included the restoration of the windows and the repointing of the brick. And basically how those work, if they don't reply within 90 days, that's considered the same as approval. They did reply within like 2 days of that 90-day window, and unfortunately did raise some concerns with the windows, because the plan that Appletree had provided was to not restore but replace the vast majority of the windows, which are original to the building and in extremely poor shape. The only windows that they were really looking to restore were the Palladium style windows that are under the portico. Those are very unique and in better condition because they've been under covered roof all this time. So I hope that the town will reach out to Appletree and also the master lease tenant, and try and work with them on a plan that we can restore this important, iconic building for the town at the least expense to the town. The town has already expressed their desire to maintain that building as a town-owned building.
You know, and if I could just jump in right here while you're saying that, is that I remember at town meeting, Brooke brought up a point when he was selectman then, and he brought up a point and says, is this something that we have hanging over our head, or do you want to just get rid of it? And that was the first time that was brought up at town meeting, and I remember I spoke on that, and that's why I remember it so well. But there was an overwhelming feeling by the people who were at town meeting that they did not want to see that building go away, that they wanted to see it brought back to life and then try to make some money with it.
Yep.
And I think that would still be the same now. Yep. And again, there's always going to be people that are going to talk about Appletree Arts. They're getting this, they're getting that, and somebody should hang up on the window the millions of dollars that Appletree Arts have raised. For that building, so because that's significant.
So the real important thing to remember is that these are not pressing things. We don't immediately have to have that funding in place, and we have time to work together and find the best plan to do it, just like we did last time, and maintain that building for the town. If you look at where we were 15 years ago, that building was vacant. The roof had failed. No one could use it. The Architectural Access Board was ready to shut it down. It is now a vibrant community center.
Yep.
And has changed the whole common. And with all the other work that we've been doing around there to revitalize the common, to sell it just makes absolutely no sense. You lose control over that building. You sell it, it's not, even though it's got a preservation restriction, somebody could still tear it down, and you're going to lose. Imagine that common without that building in the corner.
No, I can't.
Different common.
Ken.
Yeah, the bond is not, the sum of how much even this committee has contributed towards that building. There was hundreds of $1,000s in addition to the bond.
Right.
So don't think just the bond.
In terms of, though, the money that we spent, to me, it's like, it's gone.
True,
But we still have an obligation.
It's invested in that building.
But in
Not
terms
gone.
of
You're right.
the legal issue of
the point
what
is that
happens to
the
bond.
town invested far more than just the bond in that building, and there were many other donors, public and private, that Appletree Arts brought in that all kind of have a, I don't know how much I don't know what conditions they put on their donations, but there was a huge amount of money donated to it. And I was just wondering if you could, off the top of your head, just make an estimate of how much has been spent on that building by the town and by the others.
Over $3 million, I would say.
Over $3 million, and it's probably half and half, public, town and other.
Close.
And so,
sure.
and so, given that, I think that selling it to a private individual is going to be a huge good deal for the private individual and a terrible deal for the town.
Yeah. Well,
A terrible deal. It sounds like a horrible idea.
yeah. How do you invest all that money into a building and then turn around and sell it for dirt? which is essentially all they'll be
It
able to
can't,
get for it.
it can't be sold to the town in any deal that isn't gonna stink.
I agree.
So, but my concerns are, like, there is a master lease, you know, I don't know what the terms are with the town, if that's just short term, several years,
10 years.
10 years.
They're
So,
like 3 years into it, I think.
but for you, for Apple Tree Arch, for your, what you're talking about, what they've done, don't they have a long-term lease?
30, right?
We have a 30-year
30
lease,
years.
and we're about 11 years into it, I believe.
So, you know, that would also tie the hands of the buyer, because I don't know that they can unilaterally say, okay, that contract that we have for your lease is null and void.
There is a clause in there that the town says they will try to make it so that if they do sell it, that the new landlord would honor that lease, but all it says is they can try.
Try, okay.
I will say that this came up at the Historic District Commission meeting when we last met, and we are prepared to draft a letter to the select board stating our desire for the town to not sell that building and maintain it, and to list the reasons why. You know, it's a historic structure. It's a vital key to the historic district, and its loss would be huge.
Well, can I make a recommendation that may be something that we may want to do as well
Certainly.
from the CPC? Someone much more eloquent than I.
I guess that to me, I'd wanna, I mean, there's a difference to me as CPC, as the committee, making a statement about making sure everything's taken care of
Right.
versus having everyone on the CPC make a personal, like, you know, Paul's very passionate about it, and, you know, it's great to hear that and hear the history, but as a public committee, I don't know if that's appropriate for us to do that. Not to say that I don't.
Well, I'm
I
like
think,
0
I
for
think
2
it's, we
tonight.
have an investment in that building, and that's what Ken was
Okay.
alluding to, is that we have spent,
$1,700,000,
you know,
Then, yeah,
$1,700,000.
has come from us.
Yeah.
okay,
And so that's something that we want to protect our investment, because
Yep.
we've invested in the community. And have we gotten, if we sell this, did we get our 1.7 million? You know, if we sell it and we've only had it,
Well, see, it's
3 or
but
5 years
It's
or
not
longer.
our money. It's
Yeah.
not the
Well,
committee's
I
money.
was-
it's the
I was
town's
just gonna
money.
say
We
that,
have to
like,
we
administer
spent the
it.
town's money, and is that wisely invested if we sell it before the 30-year lease is up for Apple Tree? You're trying to amortize that money, because you're gonna have to do that again and again and again every
Yeah.
50.
Well,
But-
well, hopefully the town won't sell the Grafton Common either.
Right.
Yeah, like,
Honest to
kind of
God.
made the point I was just going to make basically, which is, even though as the CPA funds for the town, we've put forward projects to the town that has spent 1.7 million, like was just said, that's not, like, it's not our money that spent it. If the town says that, yes, we spent 1.7 million on One Grafton Common, but as a town, we want to sell One Grafton Common,
But if the town says that, if the town says that,
but
that's
yeah,
fine.
what I'm saying is, if the select board, as a board, thinks that it should be sold, it still would go to town meeting to be sold, and the town would vote at town meeting to sell it. And any one member of this committee or any committee could easily speak at town meeting for why they personally do not feel it should be sold. We could easily do something as the committee saying, this is what we put into it. This
Yes.
is why we put in.
Yep.
The
the facts, yeah.
these are what we have put into it. But I, agree. I don't feel like this committee should be, lobbying as a committee to say, no, we should, the town shouldn't sell us for this, because it's such a community, yes.
But we're not even to that, and that's why.
No, we're not to that point.
Even
That's what
discussing
we
it, I'm
just
like,
did.
we're
We
really
just
got
did
this
that on
cart
the
before
Robinson. We
horse.
just did that on the Robinson property.
It's not,
It's same.
Yeah, exactly.
All I'm saying is I think we should give them some indication that here's what we've already invested in
Absolutely.
this building,
That I agree.
and
be fine.
and here's why we invested it. And
And I have absolutely no problem with that. That's
good,
yeah.
then you write the letter.
There's no need for a letter.
Timing, I would just say
That's it.
timing.
At this
you might-
point,
At this
it's not.
point, I don't know that I would
Right.
write
Yeah,
it.
we don't
it's
need to
very
do anything
premature,
right now.
right?
I
I
would
just
wait
wanted
and
to let
see.
you guys know, and then, because there's, the other thing is to deal with these issues. I wrote down 4 or 5 funding sources, but we don't have there's not a committee any longer.
Right.
There's no
They
mechanism
could create one
to
again.
make this happen, because this work needs to take place, and is it talking to the selectmen to say, you know, these are real concerns, maybe you need to reinstitute
Grafton
the
Town
Grafton Townhouse
Oversight.
Committee? Okay, so that's something I can reach out to Colleen.
Yep.
Okay, all right. You wanna bring
Yes.
back our, Kenneth, what is it? How do they say it on the TV?
I forgot to write down what time we left.
We recommended that you
We're
both,
gonna talk about, we talked a lot.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time talking
we
to you.
ordered out pizza.
That's all right. We had chili.
And ate it.
They just left
Who?
Chili's restaurant. Brooke and I had a bloomin' onion.
That was a long drive.
Boy, I'm glad he's down there.
All right, so
What are you gonna buy?
town records
Richard,
archival
What are you
project.
gonna buy?
sh-
The what?
And I will give you a partial, I don't know if you have some as well, that Sandy, that Candy was going to come to Historical Commission last month, and I can still hear you. I'm deaf, but I can still hear you.
We didn't say anything.
I can hear me.
It was her. It was her. Mr. Chairman.
She got the dates wrong in terms of her ability to come, because Historical Commission needs to write letters of support to designate that these are historically significant for the town. That will happen at the July meeting. She's confirmed the date. We've gotten that nailed down.
If you can make sure I'm made aware so that I can attend with her,
Okay.
that would be good.
So that's all I know. I don't know if you have any more than that.
No, that's exactly what happened, so.
I'll tell you right this minute, because I will forget. The 14th, July 14th, 7 o'clock. And G is where we meet.
Room G.
What's that for?
To
I missed it.
the town, yeah, you did.
You were
Let's
talking
move on to
to,
historic gravestones.
For the records.
oh, okay. Historical gravesite.
Any updates? Yes.
Yes, I am waiting for two things to find out, and I need from John is, and I haven't emailed you because I just found out today, but I need to remember the gentleman who carved it.
James New, NEW. Famous.
Okay, and secondly is if we are able to remove the stone, do we have a place that we would be putting this stone?
I'd love to put it in the library, but we can't.
Can I ask a
Maybe
procedural
here.
question on this?
Yeah.
This is becoming a bit of an interesting project in that CPC appears to be managing it. Does that make sense? Is that
Right.
something
Because
you want
initially
to continue to do? I mean, Richard, you're doing great work on it, but you're not like, all of a sudden I don't, do you want to talk to the historical commission and see if they want to kind of own this? And Richard
Because
can
initially
work
it
with
was
them?
Roger Holman.
Oh, God.
God rest his
That's
soul.
how old-
Yeah.
Going
Well,
on-
I-
this has
so-
been going on
right,
a
so-
while.
And I said I'd do it after he died.
This is one of the very first projects ever, and this was one that, you're right, that was when the committee took projects kind of from individuals. That was when Roger Hammond, when he was DPW director, brought us Ekblad.
Yeah.
But Roger Hammond drove the bus on that project, right? So if you're comfortable continuing this way, that's fine.
But it should be a one-off thing.
It should
Right.
be a one-off thing, because you're starting to get like decisions about where it's gonna go.
No, may I please say this? What I'm trying to do is do all my homework, then come here, and if we decide as a board, as a committee, that it has to be handed off to somebody else because this has been sitting on the shelf for so many years, okay? I'm still waiting to find out if it actually can be removed, okay? But I needed the few key things to invert back to the,
So we can talk
Massachusetts.
after the meeting or offline about all the information that you need that I would be happy to share with you.
yeah, and that way they can say, no, it can't be touched.
See, you say that, and I've got something in my mind somewhere that we were told that we couldn't remove it. We
Right.
couldn't remove the stone. That's why we needed to have someone go out there and mold it, because we couldn't remove it. Doesn't that sound familiar
Well,
to you?
My memory was, because this is the avenue I pursued, was we were gonna replicate it, and so have a replica out in the weather and move the historic stone inside, where inside, whether it was the historical society, whether it's municipal center, whether it's the library, whether it's
That's what I'm taking from you
Public
of that, and that's what I'm
access.
trying to nail down.
But it's,
The gentleman in Boston at the Historical Society asked me who carved it, and I says, I can't remember. They've told me 6 times and I can't remember. So now it's James New.
new as
New,
opposed to
N-E-W.
old.
Okay, so now I can call him and say, this is who it is,
And
this
he
is,
should know who that is.
and then, you know, he can do his thing
It's
down
a
there, and
very
he
rare
can say
double portrait
yes or
stone.
no, because they, in Boston, they have not been allowing stones to be removed. They've had them duplicated, they've had them
That sounds familiar.
not, I'm calling it a shellacking, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's like your granite stone in your house. You put the oils on it to preserve it, and you do that like once a year. You go out there and just do it.
Right.
And the other thing is, you can put it in glass. You can pour a foundation, a small foundation around it, and put not plexiglass. I can't think of the other, Lexan, and have a Lexan covering done for it. And this is all the stuff I want to make sure and to bring as a presentation, the final presentation, to say, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and go from there. But
I think when you mentioned to this guy, the name,
yeah.
I think that'll probably cause him to raise his eyebrows. I'm sure he'll
He'll
be familiar
He's-
with him, yeah.
He's the top guy
Yeah.
that they gave me. I mean, I've gone through so many different departments.
Do you know who it was you talked to?
Matt something or other. I got it all at home.
Okay.
Dylan,
But he's told me, you know, numerous times. He says, get all the information, find out how deep the stone is. You have to put a probe in, make sure, because some of them, he says, they could be anywhere from 4 feet, 6
It's as
feet,
much
8
underground
feet.
as there's above.
And
potentially.
if you pull it up and if you disturb the remains that are down there, if this could be hooked close to it, then we could be in a lot of trouble.
Right. Okay.
So
But we'll talk.
I am going inch by inch on this, trying to do diligently, to get it done the right way, and hopefully, like Joanne says, it's a drawn out thing, and
geez, I guess, huh?
especially with headstones, if you don't have a deed or you're not family.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Grafton Common.
So yesterday they were up there working on the backflow preventer, which is a necessity now for code for the irrigation system up there, to make sure that if in event of a failure, that it wouldn't back into the town's water system. So that's being done. I'm sure you've all seen the bandstand.
I saw you
Essentially a
on
floating
8:30.
roof now. So, you know, they've been taking great care in taking it apart and trying to save what they can, but there was a lot of rot. And so structurally, those supports just weren't going to make. So they're replicating everything to what was there. They saved them so they can replicate the look and feel of what was there. But it appears that the vast majority of what will be left will be the roof. I mean, if you look at it, there's literally no floor left. So they're working on that. The granite, which we ordered back in February and March timeframe, still is not in. So unfortunately, the archway can't go in until we get that east entrance, those granite posts in, because it has to be measured exactly for them to put that in. They have turned on the electricity on there. I'm sure you've seen the lights. There is an issue with how the archway lights are wired. Right now, they've got it wired at the top. It should be wired at the bottom. There were custom lights, and there was a change in the vendor midstream, so apparently there was some confusion on how they were made. But that's going to be rectified, and we will have the lights on the bottom. Common looks beautiful with the lights on at night. The lampposts look fantastic. I did hear on the damage that was done on motor vehicle accident number 4 with with the
Walmart.
wayward Walmart
That's it.
truck, who didn't hit it going in. He backed up and then took them out. So those are going to be covered by insurance, and Munitech will put them in. But who knows when? It's not part of this project. It's going to be done separately. And, just based on the amount of time we're having to wait for the granite, it's going to be a while before that gets done.
Where's the granite actually coming from? Do you know?
So the Milford Pink, which is the granite that we had always used up there, is no longer available. I've forgotten the name of the new one, but they're working with Swenson, which I believe is located in, it's like not South Shore, but Mendon area, I think. I'm not sure exactly which town. So Daryl Roberts, who works for the DPW, was following up on that. We had a construction meeting yesterday morning up there. At the rate they're going, the expectation is that they will have the majority of work done on the bandstand, including the restoration of the structure itself, the painting of it, and the new roof done by the end of July. They are hoping that they will also be able to be well along on the elevated walkway at that same time. Events, for the most part, can still go on the common. We've had a number. We've had a wedding up there. The antiques show went on. Was that last weekend?
Something happened tonight.
I went up there. It was beautiful.
They're doing a Pets movie tonight, I believe.
Yep. So, we've
What
got
is it?
a pet.
Like a cartoon
Pet,
movie.
pet friendly movie.
Oh.
Like pets.
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
like
with
a
them,
kid's
but
movie.
it's a kid's
Yeah.
movie, yeah.
So, there's a number of events that will be going on there. The bandstand won't be available for the concert series, but they could still conceivably set up elsewhere. There is electricity up there, or they could go to another park. I'm not sure what they have decided on that. The one thing that can't be up there when the construction is going on, unfortunately, is the farmer's market, because their hours of operation start during the day when construction would be going on there, and we can't have that. So our hope is that by the time August comes around, we'll be far enough along that if they so choose, that they'll be able to relocate up there. Right now, they're at the municipal center.
And they've been doing well there, I think. I think they've adapted to it.
I think some of the businesses on the common would like to have that farmer's
Yeah.
market up there because it helps them to, generate
Just visually, sure.
people coming into their businesses. And so we're making every effort to try and get it so that we can have them
Yeah.
up there as soon as possible.
Right now, they only get the people that are going into the police department.
And what's the timeline that we're looking at as of right now for the actual bandstand, as far as the main structure and then separately the ramp?
The hope is, again, to have the bandstand itself substantially complete by the end of July. The walkway will be well on its way. I don't know that it'll be done then, but we're hoping that we can get it done as quick together as we can so that we can get the farmer's market up there.
Okay.
And Paul, is that roof that's left, because I saw you the other morning, and
Floating roof.
floating roof, I like that. Is that roof gonna be needed to be repaired? Because in the pictures, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
It doesn't, shine with everything else that's gonna be up there.
Well, the Lions Club graciously donated their services and actually re-shingled that
Yeah.
that structure probably like 6 years ago. I'm going to say now 5-6 years ago. There is a venting issue with the roof, so unfortunately the wooden shingles haven't held up the way you would normally expect that they would. So that's why they don't look so great.
So do you think,
So they're being replaced. That's part of the project, is
Oh,
putting a
okay.
new roof on there. There are some boards in the roof itself that will need to be replaced, but by and large, most of that roof will stay intact, which is nice. So we have some of the original structure there.
okay,
And the the railings that surround, is that also that they're gonna be
Duplicate.
repainted as part of the project?
Yes, and it will be, we're going back to have the original railing design, which is not the vertical
I mean-
balusters that you had there. They're a crisscross
Right,
pattern.
but I mean, around the entire,
Yes, everything, the
no,
whole
the
structure.
common,
Oh, the town is doing that. They do that yearly anyways.
so they're.
And we've had some concerns because there was a lot of splatter that has developed on the granite over the years from them painting it. Typically, they have high school kids, summer employees that come up and do that. And so they've created a template, because we tried to get all of that paint splatter off, and we can't. And we could try sandblasting, but the fear is that's going to discolor a lot of the stone and be more noticeable than the paint is itself. But to prevent further splatter, they've developed a plastic template that they use to keep the paint off. But yes, they will be doing that this summer. And they've hired a company, Munitech, to do the repairs on the insurance-related stuff.
I think Kristen had a question.
Have the plantings gone in yet? I haven't paid attention, like the trees.
The trees are in, yes, but there's more plantings to come. There's some hydrangea shrubs that will go in around that electrical panel. I believe there's 4 of them that still need to be put in. We're trying to retain some of the plantings that were around the bandstand, but there are additional plantings that will be added as part of the project.
Okay.
And there's also gonna be another Christmas tree that we're trying to get that all.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you're
That
leading
All right, I
toward.
was going to lead into that. So we have had a request from the Recreation Commission to consider putting in a larger tree. We did plant a evergreen tree to replace the one that was lost when that other large tree came down. Their request was for like an 18 to 20 foot tree. Extremely expensive to try and move a tree that size and to ensure that you're going to have coverage if it should die. So we're going to be meeting with the Recreation Committee, but the Historic District Commission is thinking, yeah, we could put in a larger tree, but something of a little bit more reasonable size, maybe like a 10-foot tree. They grow very quickly.
But the concern is if it's over 2 or 3 inch caliper, cause in ordering the trees that we did, cause we were thinking we want big trees, they said no, because the life expectancy in the first year is reduced dramatically,
Well,
the larger the tree.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing with the, like, 2 to 3 inch caliper, and if you say you buy a 5 or 6 inch, after 5 years, they'll be almost the same.
Yeah,
Because
They
the
can't tell.
smallest,
they grow
smaller
quicker.
trees grow quickly and adapt. You know, I've seen 20, 30 foot trees transplanted because it was a private school, and it was unbelievable money.
Yeah.
And there's no like guarantee because
And there's no guarantee, and it costs as much to transport it for this one vendor as the tree itself.
Itself.
And then they don't get it off the truck. You have to have your own equipment,
Which we don't have.
and it takes a crane
and you're just
yeah.
like, we don't know all that, so.
Or we could
trying
have
to-
a silver tree with one of those lights that goes around and makes it red, blue,
No.
green, yellow.
No, we're not going to have that.
So it'll be Charlie Brown Christmas for a while.
But we definitely are going to be inviting the Recreation Commission to come and talk to us about it and come up with something that we're all amenable to.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Paul?
Yeah, I just,
No.
we're talking about a Christmas tree, basically.
An evergreen, yes.
Yeah. Why don't we,
Christmas tree. Holiday tree.
Evergreen.
holiday tree, I'm sorry. Holiday tree. What about up at Pell Farms? There's some big ones up there.
But we can't,
We
that's the
can-
problem, is
the-
the size.
We can't transplant it?
So it's very, my limited experience on projects, having worked on some that they
Yeah.
spend tremendous amount of money on, it is a very iffy thing. It depends upon the root system, tree, the species, and they literally go out there with these like big, things to get them out.
Right.
And you don't always guarantee that once they start cutting, you're supposed to prune them a year ahead of time,
Yeah.
cut the roots back. I mean, it's not like you go out
You
and
can
just
go out,
and
dig it up,
no.
put it in.
It's
Okay.
like you have to do it for like
Then
that.
they die.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
They
very
don't
hard.
survive.
And they can't really get back there right now anyways. Yeah. Not with that equipment.
Just,
So we're working on
It's
just try to save money.
All right.
it. Weight to measures, Don Clark was kind of spearheading this, and he has sciatica, a very severe case of it, and is unable. In terms of moving everything, he does not want to delegate that to everybody else.
Okay.
So since we have the year grace period of the sunset, we're not pushing to have that moved, but the electrical has been done. Joanne has been chasing down this $200 electric bill that nobody can figure out, that we think finally has been figured
Nope.
out. Nope. Still.
No, it's gonna, no, I'm gonna talk to Cindy and Bob Berger about it. It's not your bill,
Okay.
so we'll have to,
Because we paid for one bill for the electrical that needed to be rewired in the library so that this could have the lights plugged in where in the new location where they wanted it. We were gonna have it one place in the new building, and now it's in the main library in the
the short of it
meeting
is, DMH Electric did that work. We got a bill from Standard Electric, which is they supply electric stuff. I called DMH Electric and asked if they had Standard Electric bill us directly. They looked into it. They said, no, that bill, you should not have gotten that bill. When Cindy called about the bill, because it just came to the building department, it's for $180, they told her it was for the Weights and Measures project, which it just makes no sense. Nobody hired them. Nobody ordered anything from them. So we've got to send it back and ask them exactly what that $180 was.
because the lighting that was installed by the man who did the restoration of the cabinet in
I mean,
Yeah.
it could be a
Elsewhere.
billing error on the part of Standard Electric.
so.
Yeah.
So, but at this
We
point,
need
you
to-
all may have
we need
paid
to
me
contest it, and if
$180.
if they want the money, they need to explain it.
Right, right.
Right. So
We'll get there.
it's for a very small project. It's had a very interesting history, kind of like a gravestone.
So,
Yeah.
besides Don not being able to move it himself right now, it is ready to be moved.
It's here. It's
No,
on the hall.
I'm saying
set up the way it will.
the cabinet is, I knew that
The
was
electric is ready to be
so,
plugged.
so it's nothing is stopping it from moving except for just literally moving it. Okay.
Because Don will hire the same movers that moved it to the men that restored it
Yeah.
and moved it back, because we didn't want to have the town do it. So,
Yeah.
but
Makes
you
sense.
also have to take everything out, and that's the issue is all the weights and measures that are in there. We one night took it all out,
Yeah.
stored it, and then put it all back in. So that's the piece that Don does not feel comfortable saying, okay, you guys
Yeah.
do it.
And that makes sense to me. I was
And also, I'm sure he wants to have some personal involvement because this is a big thing. It's basically his project, so he wants to remain involved.
Yep, makes sense.
Lions Club.
Very similar to what I told you last time, is that with the additions that were required for the septic system and everything like that, it bled into the other money that was going to be used for the for raising the house. And then with the delays and everything like that, the price of everything else went up and just out of sight. So basically, they're using the money that they have now on the plan that was that went with the approval of that money, and they're going to come back in October and seek a sum of money to be able to build that house again with the new quotes
What do you mean by
that have been.
And house is rest room, right? Bathhouse. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any updates on Cisco? Are they
I-
anticipating having more projects coming up?
I did not hear from her this month. I'm going to reach out again and hopefully have an update by the next meeting. From what she had last told me, I think they expect it to be done by now.
Because typically what
Yeah.
that happens is when they finish, then they
Then they
move,
are
because
ready
they
for-
have the plan.
Yeah,
And
so
they
I'm
move to the
gonna-
next step, and so.
Yep, I'm
it's
gonna touch
critical
base with her to-
because the applications are due in July, I believe it's the 28th,
Yes.
so.
Yep. That's
It really, I'm sorry, your meeting's the 28th. We should really have it a week before.
okay.
The 21st would be good.
I'll make sure she's aware of it.
July 21, because I told Beth because the library has an issue with the cupola, which I think is a repair and maintenance rather than restoration, but I'll tell her that.
July 21st for October, and then
Right,
Recreation ADA projects, John.
thank you.
There's only a couple of punch list items left for that project, which will use up the remainder of the funds. There's some curbing at Riverview and accessible spots at Silver Lake. They did recently complete paved paths at the ferry fields to the basketball courts and the snack shack and the bathrooms. So that's good. That's it for that one.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
over at, over at Riverview,
Don't ever do that again.
okay, I won't. Over at Riverview, the 2 handicap spots that they paved, are you guys gonna fill them in on the sides, because it's like a 6-inch drop? Cause when the people that were doing the cleanup down there, asked me to come down and look at it, and the parking lot was like a bumpy wash plate, and had DPW go down there and
That
with Evan, and they flattened it out and they filled in the holes and everything. But I saw the pavement for the 2 handicap spots. It's beautiful. But when you go to get off of it, you got a step. I'm saying a good 4 to 6 inch step. So it needs to be like beveled with some crushed stone or crushed asphalt.
Yep.
On each side or all the way around it. That way nobody gets hurt. And that's all I want to say.
Okay, thanks.
I can bring it to Jen's attention. She
Yeah,
does
just
have
tell Jen to call Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah. And
We
have
know
it done.
He can take care of that, yeah.
She is
Goodness.
working through, there's several things that they're under negotiations on with the contractors because of situations that have to be improved for some of the accessibility issues. So I'll just add that to her list to check that out.
Great, thank you.
I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's all.
Weed
Yeah,
abatement.
because you'd laugh at it.
Poor Bill Nelson, they're in the process of signing the contract.
Okay, thank you. 95 North Street, Kristen.
That project has had 2 public meetings to date. They finished up their
I
final
thought
one.
they did the third one.
Oh, they did? She said 2.
I thought it was
Yeah,
the third one was
she
being
said-
done.
there was a final one. I think last week is what
Yeah,
it was.
there was
Because
final one
last
in
Thursday
the,
there was one.
yeah, and the concept plans were issued for that.
So she said that they were going to be taking the 2 plans. One had less parking, a walking bridge over the wetland area. The other one had more parking, which was gonna require, a road for cars over the wetland area, so different expenses for each. They were gonna try to come up with that, finalized concept plan and submit that to Jen and Conservation, next week. Which is a combination of the 2. Hopefully they'll come to a good compromise. So we should have that cost estimate by the July meeting, so we can bring it to town meeting in the fall.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that a number of choices are being presented. How will the decision be made what to build there?
Well, I thought that had already happened, and now the concept is what we would propose to the town. I didn't think we were
So,
gonna
so the decision is being made as you go along?
at these public meetings, yeah, and the surveys and things. So now we're gonna have a finalized concept, and that's what would be presented to the town.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to Leah since that meeting, and I wasn't able to go to it, but
But in terms of the 3 spaces or the 9 spaces,
Right, the
Has
2
that
ideas that
been decided yet?
it's also how much you cross the wetlands with. That's
Because it seems like,
it comes down to money and
my understanding was
permitting.
because I said you really need more parking. The 9 spaces is actually less expensive than the 3 based on how they were gonna be built.
that wasn't the information I got from Jen.
That doesn't make sense.
I know,
No.
but that's the
But
way.
you still gotta get over the water.
Right.
It's the issue with how much space has to be built over the wetlands
Yeah,
for the
it's the
cars
alteration of the
versus a walking path.
Right.
So,
What's the
I
order?
don't have the numbers though.
What's the order of magnitude that you think it might cost? Is it
I asked that,
50,000,
and
100,000, 500,000?
She didn't give me a number, we don't have that yet.
Because town meeting's gonna have to approve it.
Right.
until that, if you wanna go back with July 21st.
Right.
And maybe if you could put that or have the public Facebook person
It's been on.
put
been
the
on
da-
twice.
for that date.
Yeah.
21st.
That's the date I gave him, yeah.
How was
I
the
think that's the date, but
how was the actual public involvement? Like, was there a lot of people that actually participated? You know, like
They had
So-
200 people respond to their survey, which
So,
impressed
not-
me.
Not a lot of people in person or attending,
Yeah.
a very good response on the survey. Really good response on the surveys, but not a lot of people attending in person. I don't know about last Thursday.
Yeah.
but I
Look
would
at our
check out.
public hearing.
When you say not a lot, do you mean?
It's on
5 or
video on
20?
demand, and I know I watched it on
20?
that, so there could be a number of people that have watched that.
Well,
edition.
5's a little, 20 would be quite a few.
But I didn't get the numbers. I was just getting,
But that's when I that was also communicated to me. 200 people responded,
right.
and I
big
was like,
one.
"Wow!"
Yeah, the
Because
big one was the-
usually
the
like,
survey.
I bet I can't remember ours, but I bet it was less than 100.
I think it was.
So, but that's impressive. So that means people care, and a lot. There was. I think they were showing because I was watching it while I was driving, so I couldn't watch too much so carefully. The
Cross country.
no, it was last Thursday down Route 20.
At
Oh,
60
it
miles,
sounds like
60 miles per hour traffic.
That like a lot of the
Texas.
the ideas that they had and what would work and what won't work, and then it's very much just going to need to be
Yeah.
passive recreation with some maybe educational components. And
Yeah, I just have the presentation they did
Yeah.
on Thursday. And I was just seeing if there was any more information on money or anything else, but I'm not seeing it. It was pretty impressive on the survey, though.
And the feedback, did you, Sandy, the town departments, their feedback, they were leaning towards the 9 spaces?
I haven't talked to Leah since Thursday, so.
Okay, I think that's what Jen was leaning
you're
towards. She
against
said police wanted that option.
Yeah, 'cause if you get it.
Did we skip
Yeah,
weekday?
stuff, yeah, so.
Makes sense.
they're doing the contract,
What's that?
weed abatement.
Oh, yeah, there's still the port. I'm in trouble getting all the signatures. The 3 towns.
AHT coordinator.
Coordination.
I can tell you what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Unitarian Universalist Accessibility Project.
Yes, so the grant agreement was delivered by Joanne, and I know they had some questions because it talks in the grant agreement about following state procurement policies, and they were, although they have experience with RFPs, they aren't familiar with state procurement policies. So I put them in touch with William Blake, who is our new assistant town administrator, by the way. He was appointed to that
So they
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
came back to what it
Yeah,
was.
so I didn't hear anything further from that, so I'm assuming he was able to give them, I don't know if you heard.
I haven't heard anything from them.
I haven't heard anything further, so.
Since it's a private project, can't they do procurement how they choose?
That's a question for William to answer.
What's very interesting is that I know when Apple Tree was doing it, and it was our own space, and it wasn't using town money, we didn't have to. But when we were using CPC money, we did have to
I think
follow
they may
that.
have to
So
because
I
they're
think
using CPC money.
because it's town money, it needs to follow that process.
Okay. I mean, for the most part, they've been town projects, so we didn't have that issue really.
There are certain
But-
stipulations as far as amount that
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to go through all of that, whether you're a town entity or not. And this is a fairly small project, so they
Right.
may be able to get out of it through that.
Yeah, it used to be 25,000. I
And-
don't know if they've raised it, but yeah, I've had multiple
Yeah.
contracts done at 20,000. So
Yeah, you
that
Can't get a call return for 25,000.
Yes, yeah.
And this is less than that, so
Right.
they should be able to get it.
so yeah, so you don't have to. Some towns have a standard that they bid anyways.
Yeah.
Do a just you know.
I'll loop back with Ted to make sure that he's all set and find
But
out what answer.
Their
we
first
got.
phase is pretty much done. It really looks nice.
Yeah. Did they do the planting shed? I haven't been up
They
there
have
to see.
some like boxwoods put in, and they put in some gravel. So it really is looking
Gravel.
very nice.
It's a lot of gravel.
Is it? I haven't seen it.
I don't think it's gonna work.
I don't know, I think maybe that's
Wait till the
because they
snow
think
comes.
people will walk on it, and then that way they're not walking in dirt or mulch,
Hey,
so. But
They'll have
it
to
looks
figure it
good,
out,
it
but-
looks good,
I would have planted grass.
so. Give them a call. I bet
I'm
they'll
not
let you
going,
plant some
I
grass.
just think all that stone is gonna come down in the wintertime, but
With
they must have had somebody
Yeah,
tell them what to
shovel.
do.
Okay, South Grafton,
That's me.
the chair. I'm looking at Kristen because it's playground.
So, my last discussion with them was that they weren't going to start until after school ended, and that was this past week. So I haven't heard anything more since school ended, but I'll be reaching out to them and have an update for our July meeting.
I have not yet received the grant agreement back from Anita Patel.
Oh, I thought I heard that they sent it, but I'll double check.
I don't have it. If they sent, maybe
Yeah.
they sent it to you?
I did not receive it. I know that.
Okay, all right, if you don't
I'll
mind
reach out to
following
Jay
up.
and Anita and
Great.
the school committee person that I forget which one it was that was gonna be
Okay.
coordinating with me. But yeah, I'll make sure that they're all
Okay.
roped in, and
I wonder if it went to my spam. I didn't check.
Yeah, it's
I-
like that happened to me the other day.
either way, I'll send a message out tomorrow to everyone. I'll include you on it, Joanne.
Thank
so that-
you, that'd be great. Check my spam.
We had one other item that just fell off on the amended one. We have some coordination going on between the CPC, the Housing Authority, and the Affordable Housing Trust. And Eric Swenson came up with a proposal for things that they may be able to do or be able to assist the Housing Authority with. What I did is I got all of those Housing Authority grants that were made throughout the Commonwealth for CPC funds, and we went over them at a meeting of the Housing Authority, and with Amanda, our executive director, and nothing really kind of fits as to what was done before, but Eric came out to our meeting, and one of the things that we ended up talking about is people who are in the housing who either are in an eviction process because they can't pay the rent, or as they're moving in, they're basically can't pay anything anyway. We may be able to develop something. Eric is going to pitch it to the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm letting you know about it here, and then we're going to involve the Housing Authority as well. But what we're considering is making, if the trust will do it, making a separate designation of funds to the Affordable Housing Trust for coordination with the Grafton Housing Authority for situations where someone is about to be evicted, is in the eviction process, or is like just moving in, but has no money or anything like that, to be able to help them with their rent. So it'll be something that's very similar to what happened with the COVID money that came out. But the intent will be to keep people in their housing if they have, they're just so far behind in the rent. So it'll mean a coordination with the trust, if they can set up hanging on to those funds, because we obviously can't administer them. And then the trust will work through Amanda, who's our executive director, in working out these particular situations. And it could be a win-win-win all around. So my hat's off to Eric, who really kind of got this going. And I think this may be something that we'll be able to really go forward with.
Great, thank you.
Sounds good.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Declare the motion carried at 8:37.